You see what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. Jalen, Brunson, and the New York Knicks have made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. There's not a goddamn thing anybody could do about it. I want to apologize to the people. I'm a little bit late, but nonetheless, man, I had to come on here and touch bases with the people. The New York Knicks, man, they completely walked down the Boston Celtics. Homage must be paid. It's time for New York, to win. In my humble opinion, I think the New York Knicks is going to win the NBA championship. Just the way things, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the Knicks can very well win it all. They're going to listen. We're going to get into Indiana. I'm not even concerned about the Indiana Pacers at all. I can't believe I'm saying this, but the Indiana Pacers do not scare me at just a little bit. I really think the Knicks are going to walk down Indiana. We're going to get into all of that as well. It's Flight Sports TV. You already know what it is, y'all. The New York Knicks completely blew out the Boston Celtics. Um, they got destroyed. Just point blank, period. I mean, you're talking about Jalen Brown fouling out in basically the third quarter. I mean, that's just horrendous. They phoned it in. They were no match for the New York Knicks with or without Jason Tatum. That's another thing. These people want to make it seem like is bigger than what it was. Jason Tatum was not the answer. Point blank. Also, give credit to Tom Thibodeau, man. Tom Thibodeau was a guy who they tried to eviscerate. They was trying to fire Tom Thibodeau before the man even got the goddamn job, or even got things rolling. I was one of them people who was critical of Tom Thibodeau myself. I thought that the deck was kind of stacked against Tom Thibodeau a little bit, in my humble opinion. But what I will say is this: give Tibbs props because he completely eviscerated Joe Mazzulla. Joe Mazzulla is a guy who they try to make it seem like he is one of the best coaches and this and that, but clearly he was no match for Tom Thibodeau and company. Like I said, Tom Thibodeau just dogged him. It was a dog walking, to say the least. Also, Jalen Brunson, man. I mean, JB. Everybody keep talking about is he going to go down as the greatest New York Knick of all time? All of that stuff is very well could be the case. Jalen Brunson could very well go down as the greatest New York Knick of all time. I believe that is going to happen. Especially if he win this title uh, in the manner that he's going to win it in. I'm thinking about all of the players that have come to New York, including Carmelo Anthony. Everybody knows Carmelo is my guy, one of the best players in the world, one of the best players to ever play the game. But what I will tell you is this: Carmelo Anthony, man, you ain't do what Jalen Brunson did. Carmelo Anthony just did not deliver the goods like JB. I'm sorry. We just have to call it how we have to see it. You know, um, the Indiana Pacers, man, they lunch meat. I really believe the Indiana Pacers are gonna meet their match. Let's keep it 100 with you right now. The New York Knicks is headed to the NBA Finals. The Indiana Pacers are a laughing stock and a fraud, in my humble opinion. Tyrese Halliburton, I'm not sold. Number one is this: Milwaukee. They was going up against Giannis, and Giannis had absolutely nobody with him. Gary Trent and all of these bums that they was relying on to deliver the goods, they just could not do it. You understand? Okay, then forget about Milwaukee. They roll into Cleveland. Everybody knows how I feel about the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers are the biggest frauds in the NBA. They was like the best team in the league, number one out east. I mean, come on, man. Cleveland is a joke. Donovan Mitchell is a fraud. Donovan Mitchell has never got it done in the playoffs. Never. I've never seen Donovan Mitchell deliver the goods in the postseason. Every time it's time to do something, he flops. Donovan Mitchell, in my humble opinion, he made a terrible, and I mean terrible mistake, not joining the New York Knicks when he had the opportunity because he chose Darius Garland, and he's seeing the effects of choosing the wrong counterpart to go with you. You needed Jalen Brunson. Could you imagine Donovan Mitchell with Jalen Brunson? That's what should have happened. You understand? But for some strange reason, it didn't go down like that. It is what it is at the end of the day. Tyrese Halliburton, they're not gonna do nothing against the Knicks, man. They're gonna meet their match. I think the Indiana Pacers, they some serious overachievers. Indiana, they just come on, they was balling out of their minds. But when you go up against this Knicks team, the Knicks are healthy. Last season, people was falling through the wayside. OG, you even had Josh Hart go down at the last second. Everybody was dealing. I think even Brunson was dealing with. Everybody was out. You understand? Now you're talking about everybody's in with some retooling. Miles Turner. What I want to tell you right now is I need Karl Anthony Towns to continue to play big man basketball. He has to play big against Turner. Everything Turner could do, I believe, like I said, Cat does it better when he wants to. I think Miles at times may be more consistent. But you got to have some consistent play from Cat. You can't put up. It can't be a situation where you can give him 30 and then you fool around and give him nothing. Because that's what's happening right now with these guys. You got to make sure that you can give. You got to make sure that you can give them something, all the time, and that's something that Karl Anthony Towns has to perfect. For some strange reason, part of me is times that Karl Anthony Towns can't get the job done on a consistent basis. You put a lot of pressure on guys like Jalen Brunson and all of these people. You want to Jalen Brunson should not be the guy doing everything, and at times for the New York Knicks, he falls in that trap. There's a reason why you traded for all of these people. You didn't trade for Karl Anthony Towns. You didn't trade for OG. You didn't trade for Bridges, for the same old status quo for New York, where you have Brunson trying to go one on the whole goddamn team. All of that stuff has to stop. Shout out Daniel in the chat. He said, "Go Knicks." Like I said, it's New York Knicks time, man. The Knicks, they done went through so much suffering, pain and suffering. It's time for the Knicks to finally get their just due, and it is what it is. The Knicks is gonna win the NBA championship. Especially, I ain't gonna lie, I want to see them face Oklahoma City. I'm afraid of Denver. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. I'm afraid of Denver. I think that. See, if we look out west, I think Minnesota could beat Denver. I don't know if Minnesota gonna be able to beat Oklahoma City. You got to understand, styles make fights. Now when you discussing OKC, come on, man. I think the Knicks is gonna be able to do a number on them. OKC is a problem, but it's the finals. You lock down with one team. You have a situation with OKC where they don't have a whole bunch of superstars all over the floor. You have what, Shea, Chet, I just really Shea, so I think with a bunch of collection of role players, I think the New York Knicks should be able to do a number on those guys when you lock them down in the actual series, and give Tom Thibodeau credit, because Thibodeau is just running circles around these coaches. I'm trying to tell you right now, Tom Thibodeau is going to be the difference maker out here in this postseason. You better look out for Tom Thibodeau, man, because this man looked like he on a mission. I don't know where you go with Jalen Brown. Jalen Brown made a whole lot of money. I mean, he was one of the richest contracts. And for you not to able, it's just going to be a mess. Who's to say that they're not going to completely just fall out the bottom next year? In the season, because you won't have Tatum. Tatum's gonna miss the whole year. So Jalen Brown's gonna have to come up and deliver the goods to bring the Boston Celtics to some form of respectability. And I'm having a hard time believing that Jalen Brown is gonna be able to do that, especially when you have, teams like the Knicks, who I believe this is a breakthrough for New York. Because the Knicks been knocking at the door for so long. That's why I want them to get to the finals, because I believe if the Knicks were to somehow make it to the NBA finals, I think that now you have a situation where they've been there, done that. Next year they could go back to the finals. They can go back to the conference finals. It seemed like the Knicks is always in this little rut of the first round, because they haven't never went beyond that. Especially with this team, these guys been together for a long time. For most of them, now you got guys coming in next year. That's gonna be year two. Let's see where they all went this year. They may go to the finals. They may win it all. Who knows? And this is the best opportunity for the Knicks to win a championship because there's no telling if you'll ever get back to this point. Next year, you don't know the retooling that's going to take place. You want to take advantage right now. Basically, they need to take advantage of things right now. So it is what it is at the end of the day, man. This a mess. What is taking place right now. But what I want to tell you right now with the Celtics, don't be surprised if some of these role players end up on some of these teams. Preferably, hopefully, they can end up in Charlotte or somewhere. Don't be surprised if you see Porzingis somewhere else. Don't be surprised if we wake up Derek White done went somewhere. Don't be surprised because, like I said, this payroll is too high for the Boston Celtics. They have to make serious decisions, in order to progress. And that's what the Celtics are dealing with right now. The money, is too much. This payroll, it's not going to be able to last. This payroll, it's just a mess. I'm keeping it all the way real with you. It just sure is. Yeah, it's crazy. Daniel Berry, I see all y'all in the chat right now. It's a wild situation. I'm just happy for the New York Knicks. I just think about all of the hell, that the Knicks have went through. It's almost like surreal being a Knicks fan because it's almost like they succeeding. They possibly can win an NBA championship, and Knicks fans it's like they seriously don't believe it's real. I fall under that. Pardon me. I just don't believe that it's real. I'm gonna have to see them go to the goddamn championship to believe that they're gonna win it all. There's just something about it. It's just to me, it's like, yo, man, this is gonna. I cannot believe that the Knicks is progressed to this point. That's where I'm at with the Knicks right now, man. I'm shocked. Shout out to my man Thunder in the chat. You got Jalen Brunson, the king of the fourth quarter. So you telling me these games against Indiana, if it get close, everybody want to just ordain Tyrese Halliburton. It's time for the Knicks to get their get back. Now the storyline is gonna be massive, and people got to give the WWE credit. World Wrestling Entertainment. People don't know what's going on. I'm looking online right now. Everybody talking about how WWE cooked up on this. They did this. They did that. WWE been cooking. This notion that just because now you have a situation with Indiana and New York, like if you in the beginning of the season, the Knicks had an angle, not the Knicks, WWE had an angle in Madison Square Garden involving Logan Paul. Y'all may not be familiar with this wrestler, LA Knight. LA Knight was involved, and basically you had a situation with Brunson and Halliburton where they had some angle where it was going to involve in a steel chair. So this was clearly taking on the beef. Tyrese is not a liked individual in New York. And I'm gonna be real with you. I don't believe I like Trae Young, and the way Trae was able to do things, in New York. I'm not sure. I don't believe that he's gonna have that same Trae Young impact. I think that Tyrese could be contained a little bit, but he's going to have to be aggressive. I was listening to, I think, Giannis, Tyrese and the Indiana Pacers were doing something where basically Tyrese is being spoken to by a lot of NBA guys. The All Stars, the superstars. Tyrese, they rocking with him. You got Joel Embiid telling Tyrese Halliburton he needs to be more aggressive. You already know Joel Embiid don't want the Knicks to win no championship. So that's what they are telling Tyrese Halliburton, that he has to be aggressive. And going up against the New York Knicks, just passing the ball around, looking for shooters to knock down threes, because that's Indiana's offense. They play fast as hell. The Knicks, they want to slow it down a little bit. But what I will tell you is they just play really fast. Indiana. The Knicks are going to be able to do some things to them defensively. They're going to stop their ass. That's what the Knicks do. They're not just going to run circles around New York City. And watch out for Rick Carlisle, because he's going to find something. Let me tell you something, right? The Indiana is not the favorite in this series. It's crazy. Like I said, Knicks fans, we're going to have to basically really roll with the notion, because the Knicks are the favorite in this series. They're the favorite. They hold home court advantage. To me, they're the better team on paper, or for real, or just everywhere, all around the board. I believe that the New York Knicks are just clearly the better basketball team. Now it's time for the New York Knicks to go out there and prove it, man. Go out there and lock down those guys, man. Don't let these people just come out here and run amok out here in New York City. Do not give Indiana any games in New York. From the first, and what I loved about this game against the Celtics is the Knicks completely obliterated Boston. It wasn't close. It wasn't a situation where it was a roll of the dice at the end. They destroyed them. And that's what I believe is needed rolling into Indiana. You got to be out for all-out destruction. Don't try to go tit for tat with the Pacers, because you're the better team. You are the better team. I believe you're the better coach. You got the better coach at the moment. Carlisle, clearly a champion, but like I said, I like what I'm seeing from Tom Thibodeau. Everything seems to they roll. The Knicks and the Wolves, man. They're the two hottest teams in my opinion right now. People could say Oklahoma City, yeah, but Oklahoma City, they went through some turmoil. They're in the game 7. Their season can be over with. Don't count out Denver as well. They had a hell of a year. Thunder says, what do you think about Indiana? It looks like a tough match. I think it's going to be a sweep. I got the New York Knicks sweeping the Indiana Pacers. And I'm going to tell you numerous reasons why. The Knicks will sweep Indiana. Call me crazy, but I got the Knicks sweeping the Indiana Pacers. I'm telling you. Now, the Knicks are going to win them first 2 games at home. Listen, like I said, Indiana got over. They got over last year. The Knicks should have won that game. It should have won Game 7. They should have never even let it get to a Game 7. The Knicks was all broke down and hurt, and you've seen it transfer over to this year with Indiana, where they go to the playoffs and they look who they face. Come on. I mean, the look at the draw, the luck of the draw that they received. You're talking about them going up against Giannis and these guys, and then the fraudulent Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland wasn't going to do nothing. I don't know why people were sipping the Cleveland Kool-Aid anyway. Darius Garland is undersized. Mobley is not like that. Jared Allen is trash. Donovan Mitchell, he's just not a number 1 option. So you have a lot of things going wrong with Cleveland. They got Kenny Atkinson, who's a fraud, despite him being coach of the year. But none of that meant anything, because look what happened. They lost to the Knicks a couple years back, too, in the playoffs. Like, come on, Matt Strus and all of these dudes. And, I mean, who the hell are these guys? This is what you guys start to ask yourself. What did Indiana really do? They didn't go through the path the Knicks went through. Going up against Detroit wasn't no walk in the park. They was healthy. I could see if Indiana beat Milwaukee with Dame. Come on, Dame was on his last leg. Dame ended up tearing his goddamn Achilles behind all this shit. Dame had no business playing in that series, but he still went out there and tried. And look what happened. So these are all of the things that you have to monitor if you are a Knicks fan. It says the league won't have repeat champions for the 7th consecutive season. Yeah, people talking about how they basically wasn't able to complete the back-to-back situation. That was going to be tough for them to get back-to-back championships. That wasn't going to be easy at all. So we gotta pump the brakes sometimes. So all jokes aside, we do. Y'all let me know in the chat, were you surprised and shocked by the New York Knicks and what they was able to bring to the table? Because I was. I was shocked that they blew them out. They just completely walked them down like, yo, watch this. And they need to continue that against Indiana. The fight that you brought against Boston, you need to bring it to Indiana. Don't be down 20 trying to come back. This is Indiana. It's not Boston. You hold home court advantage. So this is a big plus, for New York, man. They got all of the things in their favor. All the cards are rolling in their favor to get there. Everybody was in a mess tonight. And another thing I want to say before I get into what everybody was thinking, I love to see what the New York Knicks, the Knicks legends. I love to see Marbury. Marbury was a dude they tried to eviscerate, y'all. Marbury, they never showed Marbury the respect he deserves. LeBron James, he completely disrespects Stephon Marbury. He just, during the Olympics, he acted like Marbury didn't even exist. You understand? So this is what they do with Stephon Marbury. They won't even acknowledge him. Marbury should be doing something with the NBA. But Marbury is a basketball Hall of Famer. He should have an orange jacket. He's a basketball Hall of Famer, Stephon Marbury. And the reason why he's a basketball Hall of Famer is because of everything that he did in China. You understand? What Stephon Marbury did in China was spectacular. You understand? Marbury was kicked out of the league. They wanted no parts of Stephon Marbury. None. He had no friends. Nobody was jumping out, for him. It was almost similar to what happened with Delonte West, but the only thing was Marbury didn't go on drugs. He went to China where he was embraced. What the hell was Marbury doing in China? They pushed this man out the league, and he did what all these other players don't do. Like Westbrook, like even what they did with Carmelo. All of these people that they push out. This is what goes on. So I love to see the Knicks legends there. I love to see Starks. A lot of these people don't even know nothing about Starks. Johnson, and they don't even know who the hell these people even are and the shit they brought to the table. Ewing, Carmelo. I want to see guys from the Knicks tape. They show a lot of the old Knicks legends. You got the recent legends too. I want to see J.R. Smith. I want to see your J.R. brother. I want to see Jeremy Lin. Hell, Jeremy Lin did a little something for New York. I want to see Knicks legends. You understand? I'm tired of turning the TV on and seeing legends from all these different teams. It's New York's time now. It's time for New York. Madison Square Garden has to be a hostile place to play. It has to be. New York has to make sure that Madison Square Garden continues to be a hostile environment. You cannot have Tyrese Halliburton coming in here dropping 40 and 50. I'm expecting Tom Thibodeau to send about 50 looks at this dude. 50. I'm challenging Karl Anthony Towns. There's no way in hell Miles Turner should outwork you. He should not outplay you either. If Miles Turner is playing better than Karl Anthony Towns, it's a big fucking problem. Now, Tyrese Halliburton, like I said, I'm not too concerned with him because what I do believe is we got the defenders. They got to make sure we stay on their shooters. And that's why I think playing single coverage against Tyrese is going to be a must. And that's what I think Cleveland couldn't do. Cleveland had to send triples and doubles and stuff like that. New York could put Mikal on him. New York can put OG on him. I expect a bunch of different looks. Hart, all the Deuce McBride. I expect he may not get used to his defender. They're gonna send different looks. But I do think that OG and Mikal is gonna get the primary task. I think that they're just gonna tag team it out. Now the people like Naismith, Nemhard, come on, we got to shut these people down. We Nemhard, even last year, Nemhard, they played so good against us. And they really played well because after everybody got hurt, that's what the Indiana Pacers do. They could capitalize on injuries. If somebody get hurt, they gonna win it. But it seemed like it's destiny right now. The Knicks and the Timberwolves are on the collision course. It's like whatever you can do, I could do better. If the Knicks were to somehow lose this series and Minnesota make it to the conference finals, that is a complete disaster. You understand? You can't have Julius Randle, who was the complete laughing stock of the New York Knicks for the past couple of years, where people just kicked him, brushed him out. Julius probably thinking, man, they should have been playing through me. What the hell they went all in with Jalen Brunson? They should have been all in with him. But what I will tell you is this. If Minnesota do face New York in the finals, I expect Julius Randle to flop in New York City. I just don't see Julius coming to New York and going ape shit. Not Julius. Not in New York City. I just how I feel. Maybe DiVincenzo, but it's something about New York. Maybe it's New York. Because when you're in these other environments, these smaller markets, it's not that serious. It's okay. And for the Knicks, it can't be okay. They got to grab the bull by the horn and take this next series, man. It's now or never. You don't know what's going to happen. You gave up a lot of picks for Mikal Bridges. Even if you face Denver or Oklahoma City, Minnesota, I like our chances against Minnesota. We got the defenders for Anthony Edwards. We understand that Edwards is a problem, a superstar, probably the face of the league. But they do have OG Anunoby and they have Mikal Bridges. He hasn't seen no defensive prowess like that. That's a lot of defense. That's like I'm talking about now. We don't even got a double. We just put OG on you. He ain't seen nothing like that. And then we stay attached to all the shooters all over the damn place. So that's what I do expect from Minnesota. That's why I'm not too sold on Minnesota being the biggest threat to the Knicks if they make it to the final. I'm already penciling in the New York Knicks in the NBA Finals. That's how much faith I don't have in the Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers, like I said, are the biggest frauds. They went up against Milwaukee with Giannis with nobody. Gary Trent was the best player. Damian Lillard had no business playing. He tears his Achilles. Then they go up against, Cleveland. Darius Garland had no business playing. He was hurt. So it's a pattern of them playing against these hurt NBA teams, and then they, take their games to the next level, to whatever heights that we haven't seen. But I'm going to be real with you. I'm not sold with the Pacers. The Knicks will walk down the Indiana Pacers. I'm telling you now, if all things come to pass with the New York Knicks, we are 100% healthy. Last year we was not healthy. This year we are. I expect the Knicks to sweep the Indiana Pacers. If you want to be generous, the gentleman's sweep. I don't think this series is going to be as competitive as people think. I just don't. Just because we healthy. And the key is up to Karl Anthony Towns. Because if Karl Anthony Towns want to just go down to the block, he got to annihilate Miles Turner. Like he gotta just let it be known that everything you could do, I could do better. And he gotta make sure that he do it better. You can't have Turner making more threes than you if that's your game. You can't have Turner putting his back to the basket and you out at the 3-point line. It's certain things that, it's gonna be eyes and antennas on Cat. Because Brunson proved it already. Nobody's tripping on Brunson. Some of you other guys still got more things to prove in New York City. Brunson is the only guy, maybe Hart. These guys have nothing else to prove to Knicks fans or nothing. Good game, bad game, whatever. Knicks fans rolling with them. Some of these other players, they still got to get their situation right. Thunder says Tyrese is a passer. If he gets 15 assists, that's a problem. Don't worry about him getting 30. That's a good key right there. So we definitely got to monitor Tyrese Halliburton and his facilitating. We got to make sure, we just got to make sure that we do the right thing. it's crazy what's going on right now with the New York Knicks. But we did, you know, accomplish something. The Knicks made it to the conference finals for the first time. You know, you know, like I said, it's just it's crazy since 2000. You know, the Knicks have went through hell. What I will tell you is this: some of these other teams that went through their bullshit, Charlotte. You know, I just see, like I said, the Knicks been there. You know, we were Knicks was just there. Look what they did. It starts up top, man. It starts with coaching. They brought in a lot of different people, and the Knicks could have had, you know, Steve Kerr. You know, Steve Kerr was should have been the truth. You know, but for whatever reason, you know, Steve Kerr elected to take the easier road with the Golden State Warriors. Then what they tried to do? Was it Fisher, Hornacek, or whatever? Come on, that was a waste of time. You know, and then they had to bring in Tom Thibodeau, a guy who could speak for the whole entire organization. You know, Tibbs, believe it or not even believe it or not, if you don't know, but living under a rock, Tom Thibodeau was the president of basketball operations for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So the man know how to run a franchise. He know how to speak for the franchise. So you don't even hear Leon Rose. You don't hear Worldwide Wesley and all these people. Who the hell? They don't talk about Dolan no more. You know, you bring in somebody who could speak for the whole organization respectfully. You know, and look what you have. You have Tom Thibodeau. Give credit to Thibodeau, man. They wanted to fire Tom Thibodeau. They had Tom Thibodeau head. Pause. Tom Thibodeau shocked everybody and took the Knicks to the conference finals. Gonna fool around and might win it all. Tibbs, he might as well get some property in New York because he ain't going nowhere. Tibbs done bought himself at least another two to three more years in New York City. And Jalen Brunson loves him. Hart and them, they love him. So he's got the backing of his players. And you got Jalen Brunson, who's the leader of that team. He's the leader. So we're gonna find out. You know, point blank period. We're just gonna have to find out. Thunder says Tyrese is a passer, but you know we're gonna find out what's up with my man Tyrese. Man, I'm not like I said, I'm not too sold, but I feel you with the 15 assists. He can do that, but that's why the Knicks have to close out. They know this team. Indiana didn't really do too much retooling. The Knicks did. The Knicks got the different pieces and stuff. Indiana bringing back pretty much the same team they played last year. So that's why I like the Knicks in this series. I really like New York in this series against the Indiana Pacers. I think the Pacers are going to lose. You know, I don't think the Knicks is gonna lose this. I would be shocked if the Knicks. This will be another failure for the Knicks. It's almost like the Knicks have to at least get to the finals, and then if they're gonna lose, you're gonna lose there. But it's all about who you gonna see when you get there. Thunder says Cat will be the factor. He's gonna be the factor. He's gonna decide everything. If Karl Anthony Towns want to take his ass down there and play like a center, a dominant center, the Knicks gonna win the NBA championship. But if Cat want to play like he Jalen Brunson, you know this thing we might lose or it's gonna drag out a little bit. But only time will tell with Jalen Brunson, man. Jalen Brunson, man. He's got a shot. Jalen Brunson could very well win the whole thing. Who the hell seen that coming, man? Anybody remember when people thought that the Knicks overpaid for Jalen Brunson? People was like, "What the hell is going on?" People thought they was just tripped the fuck out that they made a move like that for Jalen Brunson. What the hell were the Knicks doing? Putting that kind of capital out there. They end up getting in trouble too. They had his father in play. The Knicks was going to get their guy. They identified something with Jalen Brunson. They saw something. The Knicks ain't have a point guard, and Lord knows when, and I got to applaud them. I remember when Amari Stoudemire signed that $100 million contract for the New York Knicks. I remember Stoudemire going to the podium saying, Yeah, the Knicks are back, baby. The Knicks are back. That's what he was saying. And Stoudemire, when before his knees completely went out on him, Stoudemire brought it to New York City. It's unfortunate that we couldn't see Stoudemire for a couple more years healthy. So the best Stoudemire that we had with New York was, that first season before the injury. So it's gonna be key, y'all. The Knicks are in the conference finals. New York is turned up. Everybody, Knicks fans don't know how to act. We've been through hell. It's on, like I said, we are conditioned to believe that the Knicks ain't gonna do nothing. We're gonna fail. It's gonna be this. It's gonna be that. But the Knicks, they headed to the conference finals. This was a preview. It is what it is. This is good for New York City. I'm ecstatic for the Knicks. It's time for New York to win. Knicks in the finals will be one. Man, it's gonna be retarded. Knicks in the finals. I was gonna say it's time for the Knicks to at least get one. We never get a chance to win anything. Knicks never. Nobody ever looks at the Knicks as a serious threat. They always been a laughing stock. People used to come to New York and just have a ball. Now it's time for the Knicks to turn the tables. To let it be known that nah, it's tripped out. Salute to all y'all in the chat. Make sure you hit the like button and most definitely hit the subscribe button. You already know it's Flight Sports. The New York Knicks are headed to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2000. It's crazy that the Knicks have done this. Shout out to the Knicks, man. Shocked everybody. Nobody had the Knicks doing nothing. You're going to have people still happy if the Knicks were to lose. There's people who hate the Knicks. People can't stand to see the Knicks do well. Because it's almost like they feel like once New York gets something, is that we just don't know how to act. We take it to the next level, which we do, as Knicks fans. I mean, it's just New Yorkers, man, period. And you're gonna see it right here firsthand. No game is gonna be more exciting to watch in the playoffs than the game in Madison Square Garden. The Knicks, to me, they got to really everybody. They got the world's most famous arena. They're dominant. It's a dominant Knicks team. And that's all I could tell you. We got a lot of content coming too, especially if you're a Knicks fan. I want to discuss a lot of Knicks paces. As we head into this series, man. Tomorrow, I know we got. Let me see what we got. I think we got some action that we're gonna be touching on. There's a lot going on out here. Salute to all y'all in the chat. Y'all already know what it is. WNBA. Thunder says Harder went for 60 and the Garden. Steph went for 50. Kyrie went for 50. Knicks can't let this happen again. I'm telling you. So that's the thing. The Knicks got to make sure that don't happen. How, I don't know. All they got to do is make sure it don't happen. So we'll definitely find out. Salute to all y'all in chat. Like I said, WNBA is back. So we're going to be looking at some stuff. Like I said, tomorrow, I don't think they ever have any NBA games tomorrow. NBA is quiet for tomorrow. They're looking out. They're looking out. How the hell they ain't got nothing on a Saturday? Game 7 on a Sunday. They should have that Game 7 on Saturday. Prime time Saturday. That would have been a good look. Oh yeah, that would have definitely been a good look, man. Like I said, we're just gonna find out what's going on with the New York Knicks, man. I think that the Knicks is gonna fool around to get it, man. Hopefully they can win it all. That's all I can let you know. I want to see. I just want to see the Knicks take it to the next level. That's all I want to see. Everybody want to see the Knicks win the NBA championship, including myself. But only time will tell. It's just a mess, man. If you knew, we're gonna bring more content to you. Um, I just wanted to touch bases with this game. I wanted to talk to the people on a live stream. You know, with all of this, we got my man All Access in the building. He just rolled in here. Shout out to Dex in the house. Dex, what's the deal with you? What's the deal, man? You see what's going on with the New York Knicks? They just won the NBA. I'm taking it to the next level. But so they just won the NBA championship. They just went to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2000. I think this is just spectacular, in my humble opinion, man. What's your thoughts on the Knicks? Getting the job done finally.
Yeah, well, shout out to Flight Sports TV. Hit that like button, hit that
Yeah,
subscribe button, the notification bell. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, Flight. First of all, let me congratulate you as an avid Nick fan. Um, wow. I mean, this is big news in the Big Apple. This is not small time off the press in the back of your newspaper. This is frontline center headlines. The New York Knicks make it back to the Eastern Conference Finals in 25 years. I mean, my God, Flight. It's like they reinvented the wheel. They done took us back to the retro of Allen Houston, Patrick Ewing, and Latrell Sprewell. I mean, that was fun, hardcore New York basketball. And now we're looking at a rendition of a hardcore New York basketball in 2025. So big ups to Tommy T and the crew. Josh Hart will play in his first conference finals in his career. I like that. We know Josh Hart have bounced around from the G League all the way to the Lakers and Pelicans and Portland and now the Knicks. So congratulations to Josh Hart and his very hard play out there in the hardwood. Now, my thing is this. I just hope the New York Knicks do not get overinflated with joy and lose their perspective. There's still a lot of basketball to be played. In order for New York Knicks to be crowned champions, they got to win eight games at least. So, hey, there's a lot of basketball. But congratulations, Flight. They did it. I'm happy. I'm happy both ways. I'm happy for the Knicks ending their drought because it's good for basketball. It's good for the NBA. And I'm happy that the New York Knicks interrupted Boston chance at a back-to-back and securing championship 19. So I'm clapping hard for that because now that gives the Lakers an opportunity next season to catch Boston again. And we'll
Yeah.
see how that.
Um, what you think the Knicks gonna do against the Pacers? I got the Knicks in the sweep. Call me crazy. I got the Knicks sweeping the Indiana Pacers. What's your thoughts on that series and how do you see that transpiring?
No, they definitely not going to sweep Indiana.
Oh wow. But the Knicks
Indiana,
was hurt last year. The Knicks was hurt. We healthy.
listen, Boston, Boston was injured as well. So you can't just poo-poo on the Pacers run because they faced an unfortunate injury-riddled team in Milwaukee as well as Cleveland. But at the same time, you want to pump your pom poms for the Knicks, and they lost. Well, the Celtics lost their best player. So I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, so if one team passes through the gauntlet of the playoff scenario based on their opposition being injured, well, you have to look at the Knicks as well getting a bump when Jason Tatum went down.
He said they're not gonna sweep the Pacers. I mean, I don't know that. Like I said,
Now, listen, the
it's up to
Pacers, the
what
Pacers is going to win in Naptown. They might not win in Mecca, but they're going to win in Naptown.
the Knicks got home court advantage.
Of course, they got home court advantage. I'm not saying the Knicks won't win. I think the Knicks are a better team than the Pacers, but I
Yeah.
just don't believe they're going to sweep the Pacers. I mean,
Do
the
you,
Pacers are playing hard in Naptown.
yeah. Do you think that what I was gonna say? Um I gotta go. Do you think that this is the best chance that the New York Knicks have to win the championship?
No,
No? You
definitely
think they
not.
got next year too, right?
Well, I don't know. I just don't see the Knicks winning the championship in no time soon.
Come
But
on, Doug. See? How you
no, listen, you're
you
forgetting something that's on the other aisle. You're forgetting something that's in the Western Conference. You're looking at Minnesota.
Yeah,
The
I understand, but
Minnesota,
hold on. You still if you get to the dance, I mean you had a shot. You might
of
not
course, you got a 50-50 chance.
yeah, they have a chance to win a championship.
Yeah, we're not knocking that if they get
Okay.
there.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is on the opposite side of the aisle in the Western Conference, you still got two behemoths. You still got Denver, which is a hard out, and you got OKC, which is a double hard out. So you see those two teams are fighting it out. I mean, they have turned the NBA hardwood into a gladiator school. That's how they fighting it out. The series tied 3-3, going back to OKC on that red clay, and let's see if OKC can hold down the fort. You heard of OK Corral. You heard of the OK Corral in the Cowboy days, right?
Yeah.
So let's see if they can turn it into the OK Corral. But Flight, I'm not dismissing the New York Knicks. I don't want you to think that. As a Laker fan, I don't want you to think that. I'm not dismissing the New York Knicks. I'll congratulate them on their arduous journey to get where they are because last year they was victims of injury riddled roster and they end up losing to the Pacers. So this is a revenge game. This is a revenge series. And if New York can really cut the mustard, or do Indiana feel so much confident that they're happy they playing the Knicks than the Celtics? Because you got to look at that dynamic as well. How much confidence that's oozing out of the skin of the Indiana Pacers playing the Knicks, who they beat last year, than the Boston Celtics, who was the eventual champs.
Who who you think's a better player, Tyrese Halliburton or Jalen Brunson?
I like Jalen Brunson as a better player, but Tyrese Halliburton, he brings more to the table than Jalen Brunson.
What I will
But I
say is
believe
Jalen.
Jalen Brunson,
Go
like
ahead.
like like if you was to have a pickup game, I'm picking Jalen Brunson. I ain't got time to see if a person can rebound and pass and get a triple double. I ain't got time for that. I need somebody that's gonna put that ball in the basket at any angle. I'm talking about sacred geometry out there in the court. And Jalen Brunson checked those boxes. Tyrese Halliburton doesn't.
Yeah, yeah, you ain't lying about that, man. There's a lot that's going on, with New York, man. I think they just their best one of their best shots to win the title. I do look at what's going on over there in Minnesota, Oklahoma. I believe it or not, I like our chances against Oklahoma City, even Minnesota. You know, the team that scares me the most is Denver. The Knicks won't beat Denver. They will beat every other team except for the Denver Nuggets. That's just my humble opinion. I think that styles make fights. Believe it or not, Anthony Edwards, I like our chances against him. We got the defense. He ain't seen no defense like the Knicks. This is gonna be some Cam Newton going up against the Broncos type shit. You understand? He ain't seen nothing like this where we're gonna be able to play single coverage. Fuck all this doubling and tripling. We're gonna put OG on you and everybody just hold down the shooters. They ain't seen nothing like that yet. That's what I believe is going to happen to, my man out there in Indiana, Tyrese Halliburton. He hasn't seen nothing like that yet. The Knicks last year, they was broke down. Everybody went down. Everybody was falling to the wayside. People got to stop acting like shit didn't go down like that. Everybody went down.
Well, right. That's what I'm just trying to say. You can't talk out of both sides of your mouth.
Right.
If the New York Knicks had the same misfortune last season, being snake bitten by injury, and now they just beat a injured Boston. I mean, Boston was out there playing on one leg. Now we listen. We talked about this like 4 or 5 streams ago, when we talked about Boston playoff fatigue, and I warned the Boston fan base that this could be a serious problem. Not only did the Boston Celtics appear to have playoff fatigue, you got to remember that 3 of their top players went to the Olympics. So they won a championship. They went into the extended season and won 16 games. Then take 2 weeks off and fly over to, I believe, Vegas and start practicing with the U.S. Olympic team. Then start traveling all over the world during the Summer Olympics. Yes, they secure gold. But at the same time, 3 of Boston players was over there fighting for supremacy for gold. And even though Derek White had a sensational game to stave off elimination, we know that Derek White is not consistent in that arena. So his his forte is 3 and D, not leading the team in scoring and being the man. That is unfamiliar territory for Derek White. So this misfortune for the Celtics with Jason Tatum being not available, it hurts. Not only does it hurt as the best player on the Celtics, arguably, but it hurts for his chemistry because the Boston Celtics, like them or love them, Joey Mazzulla knows to run that ball through JT and JB. But if there's no JT and there's only a JB, now that throws the whole ship off. And the choppy waters that it is sailing on have an opportunity to overwhelm the boat. And that's what happened. They couldn't survive the choppy waters out there in the Atlantic. The Atlantic Ocean was just a little too much for them. And so they ended up drowning. And the New York Knicks took full advantage of it. And nobody's crying for Boston. 2 tears in a bucket, fuck it. Nobody's crying for Boston.
Fuck 'em. They won already, goddamn it. The Boston Celtics won it already. Shout out Ali Payne. He said Knicks NBA champs, first American Pope from Villanova.
No, it's
Like I said,
who's
the Knicks.
healthier, not who's healthy, but who's healthier. Because
Right.
everybody is limping, giving it your all. So once again, congratulations, but keep the perspective in perspective. Don't be delusional. Don't suffer from pareidolia.
Shout out All Access. You see, he has some technical difficulties over there. Like New York Knicks, man, we in the goddamn Eastern Conference Finals. It's not a goddamn thing anybody could do about it. It just is what it is. I'm loving what I'm seeing from New York City. They deserve it. What team deserves it more than New York? No team deserves it more. And we're seeing it firsthand.
I got cut
Shout out
out.
to the New York Knicks. You back with it, Dutch?
Can you hear me, Flight? Mic check.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I have some technical
Okay. Yeah.
difficulties.
So what I'm saying is that don't suffer from pareidolia, seeing something that's really not there, and
Mm,
it's playing with the figment of your imagination, because
wow.
the New York Knicks did benefit off a horrific injury to not only the best player on Boston, but one of the top five players in the NBA.
Yeah. Nico said the greenest green light in NBA history, Jalen Brunson with his friends and dad coaching said this a while ago. Um, well, I mean, like I said, what I will tell you is this: they do this with a lot of people. Yo, they did this with people. They let J.R. Smith, brother, I think his name was Earl Smith. He was on the bench. They gave him what they wanted. They give Leangelo Ball. They wouldn't even do no shit like that. They've given players, things before. Go get your trade for your best friend. Look what they did with Cat, with D'Angelo Russell in Minnesota. They do all of these things, but when the organization do these things, the person they're doing it for don't deliver the goods. Jalen Brunson defied all of the odds. They did all of this and they went and jumped the gun and they loved Brunson so much and he proved himself so much that they was willing to do a deal with the Brooklyn Nets to get his best friend. You understand? Brunson is a better Nick than Carmelo Anthony. I said that. You understand? But Carmelo Anthony never got to the conference finals. Carmelo Anthony lost that game 6 to the Indiana Pacers. I remember that shit like it was yesterday. I almost threw up. You understand? During that game, I almost threw the fuck up. I'm talking about Copeland and J.R. Smith. These guys went ice cold. But Carmelo had 40. I think he had 48 or 45 points. Yeah, he gave him everything, and he had a shoulder injury. See, people don't give Carmelo that love, but he lost that game 6. So I got to say, look what he did. Look what my man Jalen Brunson did. That game 6 against Indiana, when I ain't gonna lie, he had nobody really with him. All his teammates flopped on him, but Melo was the only one delivering. So people need to look at that. Melo tenure was his teammates failing him. You know, that's not the case with Brunson. Brunson teammates, they stepping up for him. But what I wanted to say before we got into the Knicks shit was Jalen Brunson actually, delivered the goods when they went and got his friends. He didn't bring his friends to New York. And mind, this New York. Imagine he bring his friends to New York City and they just run a fucking muck in New York. He didn't do that. He got his father there. That dude is serious. But I even see Josh Hart. Like, Hart is a clown. You understand? You'll hear Josh Hart on the podium talking about he ordering Uber Eats and DoorDash and all kind of shit like that. Jalen Brunson don't even engage too much in that clown shit. You understand? He dressed it a little bit, but he is laser focused with his responsibility as the captain of the New York Knicks. Carmelo Anthony never was the captain, of the New York Knicks. You got to remember when the Knicks went on that run that they was on when they was second in the East, they had Jason Kidd on that team. You had other players on that team, Rasheed Wallace. You had a lot of veteran leadership there. You understand? Brunson is the leader here in New York. Carmelo was just the best player. You understand? I got to call it how I see it. God damn it. Carmelo wasn't always he led by I guess by example. He wasn't the vocal leader that LeBron was. Carmelo just went out there and shitted on everybody on the floor, and that's how he led. In practice, he showed that he was the best player in this fucking organization. That's how he led. Now it is what it is. We're gonna get into leadership and all that, but shout out to the New York Knicks. Dex, I know that was a long one, but I had to, like I said, it was Knicks trauma.
Hey, do your thing, man. Shout out to Nico Savage. Shout out to Ali Payne.
Yeah.
Shout out to Thunder.
But what do you think about because I'm hearing this a lot though, Dex. I want to get your take on this. With Jalen Brunson, has he's basically surpassed Carmelo Anthony. And a lot of people show Carmelo love. People don't even want to put Carmelo as a top 5 Knick. But I mean, talent wise, he was, he was a top 5 Knick. Now, if you want to say what he accomplished as a Knick, go ahead, talk to me, Dax.
So are you saying that they're ready to retire Jalen Brunson jersey?
Yes, they need. Listen, let me tell you something. They need to. If he won the championship, they need to just get the statue ready. I mean, they just might as well put the statue up while he's still playing. They need to retire his jersey and put the statue up while he's still playing, going nowhere. And they gonna try to go ahead.
But nobody fears Jalen Brunson. Carmelo Anthony was feared. So how do they supplant Carmelo Anthony with Jalen Brunson as a better Knick?
Like I said, what I'm gonna say is he was a better Knick because he won. That's I mean, it just is what it is.
What did he win?
Carmelo never made it to the conference finals. He only went to the second round.
Yeah, but I'm just saying though. I mean, that's a collective thing. That's just not an individual thing.
Alec Kane said he might as well retire if they win this year. It's over. No, but come on, Dex.
He got to win.
That's my guy. Carmelo's my guy. Carmelo was. Listen, Carmelo Anthony. If you just want to go just pound for pound, Carmelo's a better player than Jalen Brunson.
Okay, then. So
if you just want to,
let me show you this. Then. So you saying Carmelo Anthony should retire as a Nugget then?
No, the Knicks gonna take care. The Nuggets done shitted on him. Come on, the Nuggets don't even acknowledge Carmelo Anthony. And that's disrespectful. The NBA should step in, because they shitted on Carmelo. They gave Jokic Carmelo's number. I don't think that wasn't even Jokic's number before he got there. That's what I'm saying.
But nobody.
They buried Carmelo Anthony in Denver.
Yeah.
He's not. They don't even acknowledge his nothing. He's done.
Yeah. He walked away from the organization. That's how they feel.
He went to the conference finals, and if it wasn't for Kobe, they would have went to the finals and probably won it all. They lost Game 6 to the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. So Carmelo did do a little something with Denver. And they don't acknowledge it.
Yeah, because he walked away from the organization. So in bad standing. To go to a Knick, to be a Knick, remember?
Yeah, they ain't never let that go.
They never let it go, yeah.
They never let that shit go. So the Knicks is the only organization that's going to take care of him. And they're going to do it. They're going to phrase it through a lot. A lot of people feel like, why would he get his jersey retired? They're going to look out for him. He did a lot of shit off the floor, too, Carmelo.
Okay, the thing of it is this. Carmelo Anthony, right?
Right.
Who was the best player that played with him?
In New York, probably.
Yeah, in New York.
You got to go with either J.R. Smith or maybe, like I said, Amari he wasn't good enough for too long.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't put Amari.
It wasn't KP?
Who?
Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, but Porzingis was kind of young. I'm gonna say it was J.R. Smith. You
And
know,
J.R.
J.R. Smith that year when they was second in the East. Yo, J.R. was a problem. Yo, it was a point in time where I thought J.R. was like a poor man's D Wade.
So
But I'm
J.R.
telling
played with him in both
you, yes,
organizations. Yeah.
yes, I think J.R. was. I think at his height, J.R. was the best player that he played with in New York. J.R. was a problem. I don't
So
think
is
people,
okay? Hold on. You're doing critical thinking.
yeah.
So J.R. Smith was his best player.
In my opinion,
Okay, in your
with the
opinion, you're the
Knicks,
Knicks fan. Yeah, you're the Knicks fan, right? If J.R. was the best player he played with, who was the best player Jalen Brunson played with?
I mean, we could look right where you want to start. Cat,
I'm talking about as a Knick. As a Knick,
I mean,
yeah.
oh, the best, if just overall. I mean, that's a
No,
tough
as a Knick,
question.
yeah, as a Knick.
That's a tough call.
So
You know,
you said Cat. Okay, I'm gonna give you Cat. I'm
because
gonna
if you
give you
want to
Cat.
go talent wise, the cat bullshits though. You know,
Cat.
Jr. When he was Jr., he didn't really bullshit. He was missing, but
Cat.
Jr. was making. He was aggressive.
Cat is a multi all star. Multi.
Yeah, but he's a finesse big man, and I don't like that for New York. It's working so far, but I think it's gonna bite us in the ass when it come down
So
to it.
so my point is this: if J.R. Smith was Carmelo Anthony's best player,
That's right.
according to you, and Big Cat is Jalen Brunson's best player, who's better between the two? Big Cat or J.R. Smith?
Come on, we gotta. Like I said, I mean,
You really got to think about that.
no, I mean, obviously, Carl Anthony Towns is much more
Yeah, whose
talented. But I'm
resume
gonna be
is
honest
strong?
with you, but Dex, I'm gonna be real with you. J.R. Smith had a little. I mean, he ain't have the longevity, but he had
Who
about
fault
two
is
good
that? Who
years
fault is that? Who
where
fault
yo
is that?
J.R. was that yo. He should have made an
Who
All
fault
Star
is that?
team.
Who fault is that though? That's not nobody else's fault but J.R. Right?
J.R. didn't work on his game enough. He should have been where D
Okay.
Wade is at. What I will say, he should have been. He should have been a D. He should have been like D Wade.
Okay. If a coulda,
Had the
shoulda, woulda.
talent.
We're not going to do that. We're not going to deflect. We just want to know who was a better Nick, Big Cat or J.R. Smith, from you, according to you, your
Well,
perspective.
listen, hey, Carl Anthony Towns just got there, you know, and
Okay, but look what he's doing since he's been there.
he's listen. I'll say he's been a better Nick Dex, you know,
Okay.
Carl Anthony Towns.
So now my
Look
point is
where it
this.
went. There's no question.
Okay. So my point is this. Why would you put Jalen Brunson over Carmelo Anthony as the better Nick when it's obviously clear that Jalen Brunson had a better troop of talent,
I,
or even or don't want to say troop of talent,
no,
cornucopia of talent.
well, I said that I said Brunson was a better Nick than Carmelo, but I
I
said
know.
pound for pound, Carmelo's a better basketball player in my opinion. You know, when Carmelo, you're not gonna listen. I don't give a fuck what Brun. I listen, man. I prime Carmelo, man. Carmelo, his teammates failed. He ain't play on no team with a defense like this. You know, and especially Carmelo had one good year with the Knicks, and then after that they fucked up. They traded 2 first-round picks for Andrea Bargnani. You know, they got Metal World Peace. Come on, man. The Knicks had a clown show. You know, they
That
didn't
was a
have the
fact. It was a
longevity
fact.
of a competitive team. And then Amari Stout, people don't know, Stoudemire, $100 million and hit the knee. That was $100 million clogged up where they couldn't really do nothing. Give credit to the
So
Knicks for even doing
so
what they
now,
did with Melo.
okay. With all that said and done, like
People don't
you're
want to
actually
tell the
pleading
truth.
Carmelo's case for him.
The deck was stacked. Carmelo should have went to Chicago. You know, that's what fucked him up. He should have went to Chicago when Rose was still before the ACL and all that other shit.
Like,
Or
why are you
that's where
deflecting?
he should have went. You know that was what he should have did with Joe Keem. They would have had Butler. They would have
Right?
Butler when he was young. You know
Why
that's
are you deflecting? You're
no, but I'm
deflecting.
just trying to tell you is the Knicks never got where they needed to get to because number one,
Okay, you're
Carmelo came
pleading
to play with Amari
Carmelo's case.
Stoudemire. And
Why
what I
you
will
kicking
say
the
is
can?
Jalen
Why you kicking the
go ahead,
can?
you got
You're pleading his case, like
well,
because Carmelo wasn't stacked with the cornucopia of talent like Jalen Brunson have right now.
yeah.
He has nothing nowhere near that. You got Mikal Bridges, All Star. You got Big Cat, All Star. Jalen Brunson, All Star. You got 3 All Stars on that team. Carmelo didn't have that.
You're right about that. But what I will tell you is this: Carmelo's situation was different with Stoudemire because he never was the same again. Julius, I think he just fell out of favor with New York because Jalen Brunson came to New York to play with Julius. Julius and Carmelo and Jalen Brunson went through kind of the similar thing where they came to play alongside of a guy, but but then eventually they became they took over the team. Carmelo came to be to play alongside Amari. People don't even remember before Amari went out that first year in New York. Amari was probably one of the best. He was top 3 in the league. It was to the point where you started to think that LeBron and Wade make a terrible decision. He was trying to make LeBron and Wade pay for picking Chris Bosh over him. He felt like he should have been in Miami with them, but they elected to go with Bosh. So he was trying all out to prove that Bosh wasn't even on his level. And that season, come on, man, Bosh couldn't hold no candle to Amari. But Amari, the knees went out. Julius, man, I don't know what happened. He just fell out of favor in New York. And Julius, I think, is a guy where he got to have all of the shit going. Where if he feel like the organization ain't rocking with him, he gonna fall apart. And I think that's what happened to him in New York. He fell out of favor, and he never recovered. Mentally, emotionally, and it was just a downward spiral. It was time for a change of scenery.
So with that all said and done, I believe that Carmelo is still a better Nick,
Mm.
pound for pound. I believe so. Now I know we're caught up in recency bias because we're looking at Jalen Brunson in real time, and Carmelo had a lot of hoopla behind him as well. It wasn't like when he came to New York, it was a dry spell. Nobody wasn't rocking with him. You know what I'm saying? Carmelo became a bigger figure leaving Denver, coming into New York. So you know what I'm saying? But since we in the moment, sometimes we get captured in the moment and become prisoners of the moment. And I'm just saying that Jalen Brunson still have another step to go. If he can get it to the finals, then I think we have a real
If he won the
discussion.
title, Dex, come on, he passed Carmelo.
Hands down. Yeah, hands down. If he wins
Come
the title,
on, man.
if he wins the title, he's a demigod
Yeah, it's over.
in New York. Yeah, he's a demigod in New York.
He may go down as the greatest Nick of all time. They trying to be nice because they love Patrick. They love Willis. They're not ready to do it to him yet. But this
No,
title,
I don't think. I think they love Walt Frazier more than anything.
yeah, Clyde. That's what I'm saying. They're not ready. They're not ready to put him there yet. You see that
Right.
though?
Because
It's like
Clyde
they're
won a
holding on
championship.
to those guys.
You understand what I'm saying? Clyde won a championship. I think he won 2 as a
Yeah,
Knick.
they did. Yeah, so I was gonna
So
say, yeah, Clyde. Yeah, that's what Clyde gonna get the respect. And
you know
Willis
what I'm saying?
Reed.
So it's gonna be hard to pass on Walt.
Yeah, they're not gonna let Walt Clyde. Walt Clyde was the truth, but that shit wasn't all about suits. People need to do their homework, you know. So I mean, it's a Nick legend. But Dex, what you think about? I want to say this too. What you think about all the Knicks legends in the building? You seeing Marbury and the crew, Starks. Isn't it a good sight to see Knicks legends in the house? I mean,
Marbury
what
didn't
are
have a
your
bar of
thoughts
soap
on it,
with him.
Dex? Huh?
Did Marbury have a bar of soap with him?
All right, come on. See, why we going there? Why he couldn't have them 2 titles he won in China with him? Come on, see, why we
Man, who
always got
cares
to do
about
that about
titles in
Marbury?
China?
Marbury, listen,
Man,
Marbury is
anything
a
outside,
basketball legend, Hall of Famer too. He should be in the Naismith Basketball Hall
no,
of Fame. He
no
should.
shit, no
Wow,
shit.
that's low.
Not even in college. Not even in college.
Wow. Carmelo, not Carmelo. I mean, Stephon Marbury
Mo-
should be in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame just for
I
what
don't
he
know.
did in China. For what he did, and he won 2 titles in China. I think so, man. Just is what it is. Not only the 2 titles, got 2 statues out there.
But that's China, being the Hall of Fame in China.
Yeah, but no, but it's not the NBA Hall of Fame. It's the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, Dex.
Oh, you talking about basketball all over the world.
Yeah, no, it's the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. The same shit
I
that
know, but
everybody goes into. Stephon Marbury should have one of those vests. The same shit that Yao Ming, Iverson, Carmelo, Stoudemire. I mean, not Stoudemire. I mean,
but is
Marbury
it
should
for
have one of
American
those vests
basketball though?
too.
That's what I'm asking.
He
Because
should for his
Naismith was a
accomplishments he
Canadian.
did for the game of basketball, for what he did in China.
You know that, right? Naismith
Huh?
was a Canadian. He's a Canadian.
Who?
Naismith.
All right, I know, but I'm just saying, I'm talking about Marbury, man.
But Marbury, what did he do on stateside?
Come on, Marbury. Come on, we know the NBA was rough on him, man. But what I will tell you is he played well. He played with KG. You know, in New York, it was a disaster. But what I think what he should do is, like I said, he overcame a lot. The NBA completely shitted on Marbury. You know, he did what these players don't do. He did what Carmelo didn't do. He did what Allen Iverson didn't do. He did what a lot of these players. You're gonna see it firsthand. You might see it soon with Dame and Westbrook, and he did what they wouldn't do. He went to China and took over. And a lot of other players tried to do what he did too, and it didn't work out. So we
Okay, what
can't
about
say,
Dwight
hold
Howard?
on,
What
hold
about
on, Dex, I got you. I'm gonna give you the floor. We can't just say because he went to China and won 2 championships and 2 statues that, oh man, anybody could have went there and did it. You had players go to Taiwan, you had players go there to there, and it just ain't work out like that. This is a unique situation that requires a Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame induction, and how much must be paid. Talk to me, Dex.
I think you done failed and bumped your head. Trying to plead the case for Marbury to be in the NBA Hall of Fame.
In the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. It's not the NBA Hall of Fame. The NBA don't have a Hall of Fame. It's the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. That's where Marbury should be. You know, he's a basketball Hall of Famer for his accomplishments he did for the game of basketball. That's what I'm saying. You know, I mean, we trying to discredit everything he did in China. That's not fair.
So you telling me that building in Syracuse is not the NBA Hall of Fame?
Well, you see a lot of NBA players go in there, but it's the Naismith
Oh,
Basketball Hall of Fame. It's not called the National Basketball. It's the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame.
okay.
You see, while it's the Basketball Hall of Fame based on one's overall basketball accomplishments. So how in the
Got
hell is Stephon Marbury not in there? It's because the way he shitted on
it. Okay.
LeBron
I
James.
see.
You telling me LeBron James in the Olympics? You know he ain't even acknowledged Marbury. You know, Marbury was there. The shit wasn't in China, Beijing. Where the fuck was it? Where was the Olympics, Dex? Do we remember? I think it
Yeah,
was
China.
Beijing. Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
somewhere. I think it was yeah, it was in China. Well, so Marbury was there. So who's voting for Hall of Fame? I don't know. People who's plugged in with LeBron. So I mean, with that kind of shit, they're gonna freeze him out. LeBron didn't even look at Marbury, in the Olympics. And Marbury was trying to heckle his ass too. LeBron didn't acknowledge him. That shit was funny. Oh man. Yeah, but shout out to Wazir Q. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, man. We got a lot of intellectual guys out here in the chat. Shout out Taylor in the chat. So my love from Austria. Salute to all y'all. We want to see y'all back with us. We got
Make
a
sure
lot of
y'all
content.
subscribe.
Oh, yeah, what'd you say?
to make
Yes,
sure
subscribe.
they
Yes, yes, please, yes. Hit the subscribe. You want to go a step further? Put the bell on the icon so you don't miss anything that comes from this channel. We definitely want to appreciate y'all. We're in a festive spirit. You know,
the
the New York,
Knicks, they did.
the
They're
Knicks are
back.
back. The
Now
Knicks
we
are
can
back,
watch
baby.
Stephen A. Smith fake ass.
Oh yeah, Stephen A. Yeah, I see Stephen A. He had the he was shaking Brunson hand. Brunson was whispering to him in the air, probably letting him know, yeah, man, you need to calm down. I told you to chill, chill. You see Stephen A. was shaking his head back at Brunson, like, I got you, I got you. You know, just like I said, but it's good to see, man. Brunson shaking hands with Spike, Fat Joe, and like I said, my whole life the Knicks was a clown show. So to see it, he said, "How did Nash get on Phoenix? Was Marbury involved?" I'm not sure about that. I have to do my homework with that one. I'm not sure what happened with Nash. I know that he was in Phoenix too, if I'm not mistaken. Marbury was in
Nash got the
Minnesota.
Phoenix. Nash got the Phoenix out of Dallas.
Yeah, so I don't have to do my
It was, it
homework.
was it was it was either Jason Kidd or Steve Nash.
Yeah, Marbury. I don't know what happened with I think Marbury came to New York from Phoenix, right?
Oh, was he from Phoenix? Did he come from Phoenix to New York
I think
or
so.
Minnesota? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not. I thought he went from New
He
York.
didn't
I
do
mean,
he didn't do that well in New York though. Marbury was a good player though, but he just like I said, I'm not saying he was one of the greatest point guards in the history of the game, but he was good for the time being while he was there. I remember Stephen A. was making the case for Stephon Marbury. He averaged like 20 something at this time where you had the defense was different. You know, they was hand checking. They was this. You look at some of your favorite players today, a pinky finger touch him, they bitching and complaining to the refs. So the kind of style that Marbury played in was way more physical. You understand? Iverson getting knocked on the floor, getting right back up again. You know, I mean, this kind of shit. Come on, could you imagine Curry getting knocked down? They have to pull out the stretcher. You know, so it's just crazy. We got to give respect to the players of yesterday.
see,
Point guard.
a lot of those players of yesterday was multi-sport stars,
Mm,
and that's why they was able to handle some of that punishment because a lot of them transitioned from football to basketball. Some
right,
transitioned from baseball to basketball, but
right.
they played multi-sport, so they was well conditioned. Now, with the advent of the AAU and all of the money that has been flushed into that organization, they try to get these young players to focus on one sport as soon as possible. And so it takes away from their mental agility. So that's why, if they do anything too strenuous, they popping ligaments and breaking bones and all kind of stuff. They're not built for tough. When I grew up, we played every sport imaginable, even soccer. You know what I'm saying? Whatever season it was, that's the sport we played. They don't do that nowadays. Very rare you find a multi-sport star excel in a sport like basketball, a finesse sport. They try to get him early and often and tell him, hey man, forget that other stuff, focus on this. This is where you're better at. Hone your skills. Don't waste no time. Don't be distracted.
Good case there, Dex. You know, we shall see. What's up with this game 7 with Denver and OKC? What you think about that?
Wow. That's gonna be a bum burner. Mm. All hell gonna break loose. I wouldn't be surprised if Satan is in the stands on that game because this is must see basketball. And for any sentient being that can see, need to have their eyes on the channel in which that game will be played.
Yeah, good call there. You know, we shall see, man. What you think about this whole situation? I want to bring up back about Indiana and New York for a second. Uh, Clearly, Indiana is getting active. You know, it's not just Tyrese, you got Caitlin Clark. I was looking at the scheduling. You know, you have like a lot of games. They're going back to back. You're gonna have Fever one day, Pacers next day. What do you think about what's going on between Caitlin Clark and Tyrese Halliburton in Indiana and the dynamic and bond that they're growing out there? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, that's a good association. Peyton Clark and Tyrese Halliburton. We already know that Tyrese loves the snow bunnies. So by Peyton Clark being right down right down the street from him, it's perfect because there's a lot of hoopla for the Indiana Fever. And now that the Indiana Pacers have secured their spot in the Eastern Conference Finals, Naptown gonna be cracking.
I've never been to Naptown, Dex. Can you describe to anybody that city for anybody that never been there?
Well, I've been there several times. I mean, it's cool. It's rough. I mean, some parts of it is rough, but then you got the outskirts, like was it White House, something like that? That is very very nice, very well manicured, nice upscale homes and things of that nature. Whitestown, that's what it's called, Whitestown. And but yeah, Indiana, it's rough around the edges. I can tell you that. It's a big city. You got UPS, you got FedEx, got hubs there. Um, Now, as far as being friendly, like welcoming, hospitable, I give it, I give it about a six. I give it about a six. So there's a lot of black people in Indiana. I mean, Indianapolis. I think that's the most concentrated, concentrated black population is Indianapolis. I think second is Gary. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You got good food there. Let me tell you that. Oh, the soul food in Indianapolis is good, very good, and they got soul food. A lot of places that in that surrounding area that you'll be surprised how much soul food is being produced out of Indianapolis. And every soul food I taste, every banana pudding I taste, that shit was on the one. So that soul food in Indianapolis is very delectable, and it's peculiar to the taste bud.
Wow, that's pretty awkward there. But like I said, shout out to Indiana, man. I think they're a good squad, but I just think that they're gonna meet their match this go around. In my humble opinion, we shall see.
Yeah,
A lot
I think this is the perfect match for the New York Knicks,
mm,
the Indiana Pacers, because Tyrese Halliburton gonna have to work his tail off because Jalen Brunson, the little engine who could, is gonna be constantly looking for angles and looking for attack position. You know, Jalen Brunson when he gets that basketball, he's not looking to pass. He's looking for imminent danger. And I just believe that Tyrese Halliburton gonna have his hands full chasing Mighty Mouse all over the court, running through picks and all that stuff. And will it
okay,
wear
so
Tyrese
Knicks
Halliburton down?
25. Knicks 2025 Halliburton equals Mellow Ball Diet Coke version. Wow. What's your thoughts on LaMelo Ball, Dan? You had Lonzo come out today on this podcast talking about he got LaMelo possibly going to the Clippers. When you see Halliburton, you seeing Edwards, they are reaching the conference finals. What's up with LaMelo Ball?
Well, it looks like LaMelo Ball is dying on the hill in Charlotte.
Mm. Is this how it's gonna end?
Man, listen, I'm afraid. Like I told you how I felt, and my stomach was just doing. I don't know what my stomach was doing. I got a big lump in my throat when I saw Anthony Edwards advance, Tyrese Halliburton advance, and both of these two stellar basketball players from the 2020 draft advanced based on the other team's star player injury.
Right.
I found that quite fascinating.
Mm.
So it's almost like it's written in the stars.
Yeah, like Curry. Like Curry would have put that. Curry would have did another one in Minnesota. He would have never lost that series. Curry. You
Yep.
know, I'm saying like it's messed up. You know,
He would have put extreme pressure for sure.
extreme pressure. Yeah, they would have been that shit would have still been probably going on. Fucking with Curry. They would have got to go
So
seven.
so LaMelo is just he's just lying in the shadows right now. I mean, who cares, right? You know, um, and in gambling, when you out there on the curbside and you shooting craps, there's a phrase that you say when you shaking those dice. I'm not talking about CeeLo, but you can say CeeLo too. But when you just playing craps, the two dice, and you roll it before the dice stop, you say point seen, money gone. So that means he can't catch the dice. And if your point comes up, that's it. He loses. So right now it's point seen, money gone with LaMelo. You got you got Tyrese and Anthony Edwards out here just showing their ass, and it looks like it's easy for them.
Easy. They looking like damn Mello. If you could
And
get in the middle of this, you could be competing for a title too.
but LaMelo sit there and said some of the lamest shit, and I got to call him out on this.
What? What happened?
Well, I'm just gonna sit back and wait and see what they're gonna do. I want to be here for the build. Motherfucker, what? Build what?
They gonna push
Do you
his
know
ass
what?
up
Do
talking
you
like
have a
that.
clue, LaMelo? Do you have a clue where the Charlotte Hornets are?
I got a question, Dex. As a Mello fan, do you ever think that because LaMelo played, in different countries and Lithuania and Australia, and do you think that he really loving Charlotte, because everything beats Lithuania. You see how they was living out there. The man, as soon as he got popping out there in the NBL, he was gone. So don't you think? Do you think that Charlotte is almost like Beverly Hills for him because of all of that and shit? He don't really. He loving it. What you think about how his experience in other countries is factoring into why he looks like he don't want to leave?
Zero, zero. That doesn't move LaMelo. What moves LaMelo is his comfort zone. Like you said, if I can't get no food or something like that, yeah, I could be annoyed or anything. But outside of that, it's very little that can annoy me. The dog pee on the carpet or something. Other than that, I'm just chill, man. I'm floating through life. I'm not from here. He really believes that. He's not from here. So everything that he has underwent and continue to go through in the present, in the future, he acts like he's living in a simulation. None of this is real. That's what he acts like to me. Because where has LaMelo been a leader at? He wasn't a leader in Chino Hills. He wasn't a leader in the JBA. He wasn't a leader in Lithuania. He wasn't the leader in Australia. And he wasn't the leader coming in to the NBA. So asking him to be a leader could be a stretch. He could be feeling it for a little while, and he appears to be like this. You do your thing, I do mine, right? So if the organization want me to be a leader because they gave me 260 million, okay, I'm gonna try to be a leader. But if someone give me some backlash, okay, I ain't gotta say nothing to him no more. You feel me? I try to reason with him. He got some other stuff going on in his life, and I respect that. So I'm not going to be like, listen, man, fuck all that other shit, man. This is the main thing. Keep the main thing the main thing. You know what I'm saying? They paying us to win games and to be accountable on our play, and let's do it. So all that other stuff can wait, man. This is your livelihood right here. He ain't, I don't think he's finna go through all that. He's not finna have that kind of rhetoric uh, spewing towards other players. He was like, oh, okay, dog. Well, I feel you.
No, but Dex, they pushing him out when they ask him those questions. Like what the fuck are they even? Why would they ask him that? That's the organization putting the seeds of getting you up out of here. So they see already. Okay, we just gonna have to move you because they trying to get the rumblings. Hopefully, he could just come out and say, "I'll request a trade, make their jobs easier." But Charlotte, you don't know. They might want to move him.
And then another thing is that we talked about this before. The atmosphere of Charlotte is somewhat mind blowing to LaMelo
Really?
because he didn't grow up in the atmosphere where you see this many successful black people clustered together, right? You
Yeah.
don't get that in Chino Hill. You see a bunch of Asian people, you
Yeah.
see some Mexicans and some white, and blacks are just sprinkled throughout the area because it's a small city. Chino Hill, it's not you know it's not no large city or anything. It's small. I, I think it's smaller than Pomona. Might even be smaller than Corona. So to have that kind of atmosphere in LaMelo, I believe has an affinity towards black people, even though he's biracial. It's comforting to his eyes, and to want to move, uproot yourself and go to another, geographical location. Yeah, it probably don't really sit well with him. But the thing of it is that do you want to compete or not? Because in Charlotte, you're not competing for anything. So teams come down to Charlotte sometimes. If they come to Charlotte on the weekend, they want to beat the shit out of Charlotte on the weekend. They want to destroy the Charlotte Hornets' morals. I mean, not morals, morale, so they don't go party. But they come in on a weekday, it's whatever, right? And even those moments, Charlotte can't cut the mustard. They can't like Detroit Pistons. You catch Detroit Pistons on a weekday, you be like, whatever, it's Detroit. And then all of a sudden, Detroit wins 108-94. You look up at the scoreboard, the game is over
Mm.
because you come in there lollygagging because it's a weekday in Detroit, and you look at Detroit like, whatever, you know. And that's what happens. But in Charlotte, it don't happen like that. They only get up for some of the bigger markets. Outside of those bigger markets, I don't see the urgency and the Charlotte Hornets play for them to qualify for 83rd game. And a large part of that is on LaMelo because you the 260 LaMelo. Think about all the 260s that's in your draft class. There's only three, and two of the three are in their prospective conference finals. So
Yeah,
go
well,
figure, right?
definitely something to think about. Listen, I don't know, Dex, if we got a couple more minutes, but I gotta pull out. I gotta pull out of here real quick. And I don't know, maybe we'll hit them back up unless you want to close them out with some stuff.
No, we can go ahead and close it out.
I want to be live tomorrow. I'm gonna check the schedule. Be on the lookout for us, maybe with some WNBA, either Caitlin, or something. We're gonna try to do. We're gonna definitely do something. So make sure y'all stay tuned to Flight Sports TV. We got a lot of things coming. Summertime is approaching. We're gonna make this your summer league home, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna be discussing a lot of different players coming out this draft. We ain't gonna talk about it. We're gonna be doing things about it. So make sure you don't touch that dial. If you're new, please hit the subscribe button. If you've been around here for a couple of years, like my bro Ali Payne, shout out Ali Payne too. I want to salute and honor Ali Payne. He sent $20 to the Cash App just out of nowhere. You know, I forgot what day it was. It might have been Wednesday or something. It was just out of nowhere. You know, just going throughout my day, and then I just hear a $20 Cash App just pop up. I just want to let you know I want to appreciate that, Ali Payne. Shout out to everybody that hit the like button. Likes is free. You know, I want to thank everybody for the support that we've done, because we can't do anything without the people. And like I said, keep rocking with us and be here for the next live stream, because we're looking to do it better and better each time. Peace and love. It's Flight Sports TV. Shout out All Access. Salute to all y'all. Love.
Flight Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.